our YouTube. So let me go ahead, and I am recording now. Perfect, we're live. So let's start off by introducing ourselves, shall we? So that you know who is talking with you today. So my name is Spencer Carrion. I am one of the assistant deans in the School of Arts and Sciences Newark here at Rutgers University Newark. And I specifically work with our recruitment and community engagement. So all these events we're hosting throughout the summer and working with our new admitted students, that's my cup of tea. So you probably have gotten a lot of emails from me, and you'll continue to get some emails from me, but I'm really excited to be with you all today. And I am joined by my incredible colleague who you all I know are going to love. And I'll let him introduce himself.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Chas Flins. I'm also one of the assistant deans here at the School of Arts and Sciences, and I oversee our pre-professional services department, which oversees all pre-professional programs, which we're going to touch on a little bit later on today. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. No, thank you for being here, Dean Flins. So I'm going to chat with you all about a little bit about the School of Arts and Sciences. Now, I recognize some names for folks in the audience, so I don't want to give you too many details that you might already know, but I think for some of the people who this might be your first event, I think it would be important for you to have some of this overview. And then we'll talk about the specifics of the learning community. So overall, the School of Arts and Sciences Newark is comprised of 2 undergraduate colleges. Now, it looks like the first bullet point is telling you about Newark, which, if y'all didn't know, that's New Jersey's largest city. I say that because I'm not in Newark right now. I'm still working from home for right now. But Newark is New Jersey's largest city. It's a quick train ride away from New York City. It's a really cool setting to be in for your college experience. There is no lack of excitement. There's always beautiful, amazing things going on, exciting events, really cool places to eat and experience in the city. And so first and foremost, if you didn't know that about Newark, maybe some folks in the audience are already from Newark, that's the deal about Newark. So the School of Arts and Sciences here is comprised of 2 undergraduate colleges. We have the Newark College of Arts and Sciences, which we call NCAS. We have a lot of acronyms here. And then we have University College Newark, which is UCN. So most of the folks here should be first-year students because the learning communities are more so geared towards our first-year students. And all of our first-year students would be coming into the Newark College of Arts and Sciences, NCAS. Our campus is a pretty large campus, but we really give students a pretty intimate feel. And most of the students on campus enrolled at Rutgers University Newark are SASN students, so they're a part of the School of Arts and Sciences Newark. Our campus is one of the most diverse campuses in the nation. You'll hear us say that a lot while you're here because for us, we're really proud of that. We're really proud of our campus community and the diversity and inclusion that exists on our campus. And that's something that I think students, faculty, and staff alike will mention because it's a big source of pride for us. And then our faculty and staff will work really closely together to provide our students with the best possible undergraduate experience possible. We want to make sure you're supported. We want to make sure you have opportunities outside of the classroom or in conjunction with what you're learning in the classroom that are going to make you not just successful students, but are going to make you successful once you graduate and in your career and make you successful global citizens once you've left Rutgers University Newark. And our learning communities are one of those co-curricular aspects that are really important to create a unique, well-rounded experience for a lot of our students. And we're excited that you all are interested in that opportunity, which is really like a priceless, really amazing opportunity to be able to take advantage of. So what is a learning community? Some of you might already know this, but some of you might be thinking, I didn't know what a learning community is, and that's why I logged in today because I have no clue. So for all of you here, a learning community is really a cohort, so like a group of students and peers who have similar academic and career goals. Our 3 learning communities you'll see directly relate to certain types of professions, but it can also be related to students who are interested in those academic areas in their undergraduate experience as well. And so when you're in a learning community, you are taking courses with the other students in the learning community. So you're able to build those friendships and those great relationships with students because you're seeing them. You're in multiple classes with them. You feel comfortable with them and you're building that sense of community in the classroom right away. You get to participate in unique extracurricular opportunities, like networking opportunities, special events on campus, connecting with folks on our campus and on other campuses or other parts of the Rutgers University system, obtaining specialized academic advisement. That one is huge, right? All of our students, of course, get academic advisement, and we're always accessible to any student who comes into SASN. But our learning community students get a specific academic advisor as being a part of the learning community. And we can touch upon that a little bit later, but it's really special to be able to have that more specialized advisement where someone knows you pretty closely and can really give you that strategic advisement from day one. And then, of course, we're going to connect you with other peers. And some of those peers are going to be peer mentors. So they may not be other first year students with you. They may be older students who have walked in those same footsteps before you and have that experience that they want to share with you, tips and tricks, and be able to support you as well, in addition to our faculty and staff. So let's get started about our learning communities. We have 3 learning communities, and the first one that I'm going to talk about today is our health professions learning community, which we call HPLC. I said before, we got a lot of acronyms, and you're going to see today that we certainly do have a lot of acronyms. So HPLC is for students who are looking to one day pursue careers in the healthcare industry. So that could be a variety of things. That could be medical school, dental school, someone who wants to become a physician assistant or go to physical therapy school, occupational therapy school. There's quite a variety in the healthcare field, and I'm sure as time goes on, there'll be even more different disciplines that students will continue to study and will be invented during your careers, even in the healthcare field. So HPLC is really encouraging you to explore that field specifically and prepare adequately for whatever that professional school program may be. And you would be in this learning community with other students who are interested in the healthcare field. But everyone's going to have their different interest within healthcare. So you're going to have that variety to be able to explore other passion areas, talk with other folks who will one day be working in the healthcare industry with you, and make those connections from day one. You will hear from guest speakers in the healthcare field, and you'll see this is consistent throughout our 3 learning communities. When I say we, I mean Dean Falens and his team really work hard to make sure you're talking with folks who are prominent in the field, whether those are admissions deans from medical or dental schools or some of these professional school programs. They're going to provide you with advisement on how to apply for these professional school programs, what kinds of coursework you need to take to make sure you're successful and eligible to proceed in the healthcare field. All of those STEM courses, the biologies, the chemistries, the math, they're going to help you figure out how to make sense of that and really make sure you're following a strategic pathway to your healthcare career at the end of your time here. So that's a little bit about HPLC, and let's move on to our next learning community because I'm sure y'all will have more specific questions, so I'll give you time to ask those at the end. And then we have our legal professions learning community. So that's LPLC. You might have guessed it. That is for folks who are interested in a legal career. So folks who go to law school, a lot of them will perhaps end up practicing law as a lawyer or an attorney, but there are other things that you can pursue within the legal field that I think students don't always think about in terms of career. And having a knowledge of law is really invaluable and priceless in a lot of different careers. That is what makes many industries go round and how you find out how to be really a strategic person in any industry because you know policies and procedures that are underlying to any of those careers and fields, right? So similarly, LPLC is going to be full of students who are interested in that area as well in terms of studying or their career. And they're going to allow you to engage with speakers in the law field, whether that is folks from the law school. A lot of students who are in LPLC, you'll hear talk about the legal studies minor or the BA/JD program. And sometimes those pathways, those academic pathways will provide you opportunity to even take coursework through the law school for that legal studies minor, which is amazing and a really great opportunity to test those waters and really prepare yourself. You'll be guided on applying to law school, taking the LSAT, things that can seem really intimidating, but we have a pre-law advisor who will specifically be there to guide you through that process. And so this is an incredible opportunity if law is sort of the area that you were thinking of heading in. And then last but certainly not least, we have our data and technology professions learning community. And so this is for students in a variety of fields, right? Having the skill set of data science, programming, computer science, technology, mathematics, even students who are interested in graphic design, having a knowledge of data analysis and technology is going to help you give yourself that extra edge when you're applying in this career field. You're not just learning in your graphic design major or in your physics major, but you're giving yourself this whole other skill set that is being utilized in most industries. Even I myself, when I log into social media now, I see all these programs talking about, we're looking for data analysts. Like, did you want to know about data analysis? And I'm even thinking, oh my goodness, like how amazing that our students are getting this opportunity in a learning community format to learn about this industry and how to be more edgy and more unique and more appealing as an applicant in really whatever pathway they choose, and have this skill set to employ, whether it's going to be what they thought of as their first choice in their career, or they're realizing it's a way to supplement that and create a new career path for themselves. And so similarly here, students are going to hear from guest speakers, but that's going to be maybe not as much in the professional schools, but more so in the industry, right? Who are prospective employers that these students may want to work with one day in data analysis and data and technology. You'll, again, certainly receive guidance in how to apply to maybe graduate school programs or apply to your jobs post-graduation. You will have a specific academic advisor as this learning community, as a part of the learning community, to help guide you through the data science minor specifically and all of your classes. And you don't have to have prior coding experience or this huge foundation in mathematics in order to break into this area. So it'll really be dependent upon your placements, which we'll probably talk about in just a little bit, for you to break into this learning community in this field from your first year here. But this is one of our newest learning communities, and I think it's really going to provide a lot of our students with a really unique experience that a lot of other colleges and universities may not be providing at this point in time. So this is a way to get ahead of the crowd. So in terms of eligibility and applying, you may be thinking, okay, maybe you knew that, right? You've already done your research about the learning communities, but what you really want to know is, what do I do next? How do I become a part of one of these learning communities? So the application is open for all three learning communities. It's open, it's live, and the deadline is right around the corner. So the application deadline is June 11th. 2021, and the admission's on a rolling basis. So I would recommend, if you're in the audience and you are eligible, you should apply today so that your application can be reviewed and you can ideally secure your seat in one of these learning communities. Students are eligible if they've placed into the following English and math courses for the fall. So if you've taken your placement exams and you've placed into English Composition 1 or English 101 for the fall, as well as a minimum of pre-calculus, then you would be eligible to apply for the learning communities. And on the next screen, I'm going to share a QR code that I would say take a screenshot of, or hold up and open it up on your web app, so that you can open up that application and save it and fill it out at a later point in time. If you haven't taken your placement exam yet, we do have a few more placement testing dates. We test every weekend starting on Friday. So we have a placement exam on the 21st and the 28th, and then the first week of June. So you definitely have some time, if you haven't tested yet, to still see if you'll be eligible to apply for one of these three learning communities. But again, you definitely want to do it sooner rather than later, because admission's on a rolling basis.
Hey, Dean Carey, just one more thing I wanted to add to that last slide. So for the HPLC and the Data and Technology Professionals Learning Community, these are the placements. However, the only thing that's slightly different is for LPLC, which there's no math requirement, only the English 101.
Perfect. Thank you, Dean Flins. So folks in the audience, if you're interested in LPLC and you didn't place into pre-calc, but you did place into English 101, you're definitely still eligible to go ahead and apply for LPLC. So I'll give you all a moment to, hopefully you have a smartphone on you and you could take a screenshot. Otherwise, you can definitely email our office after this presentation and we'll get you the links. But these are the 3 different applications. I'll just pause here and stop talking for a second so you all have time to take a screenshot or you open up the QR code.
And if you guys can't take the QR code, the link is directly below that. You can just Google that exact phrase, the HTTPS tinyurl.com and then / the name.
All right. Hopefully folks have gotten it. You can put in the chat while we're in the Q&A if you didn't get it, and we'll put it in the chat for you. So now really what I wanted to make sure we had most of the time of tonight's session to do was to have a Q&A. You all have your own questions. Everyone's coming in with their own experiences and questions and concerns about the fall, including if they're eligible for these communities, and if so, what does that mean? And we have the man of the hour here, Dean Flens. He's the expert. He oversees these 3 learning communities, so I brought him in here so he could answer your questions and help you all out. So before we move into the Q&A, and I stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat box and whatnot, if you want to stay in touch with us, if we're having other events for the learning communities or any of the other opportunities that we provide for students, definitely follow us on Instagram at SASN_OAS. That's where we post a lot of updates about our events that are happening, important information for incoming and current students, and I'm sure you all are on Instagram pretty frequently, so it'll be an easy way for you to stay up to date with what's going on. And then if you do have questions, you can email us at sasn_advising@newark.rutgers.edu, and that would be the best email to get a hold of us at after today's session if you need the links to the application or you just have any general questions about joining us in the fall. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen now so that I can see the chat box and we can answer your questions for you all. So we have a chat and a Q&A open, and it looks like we've got questions in both of them, which is great. So someone said, what if you took the placement test, but you haven't yet gone to SOAR and actually registered for classes? That's a great question. I don't know if you want to take that, Dean Flens, or if you want me to go for that one.
If you've taken a placement, what's been happening is once a week, starting 2 weeks ago, I've been sending out applications to those that qualify based on your placement. So based on the program you want to apply to, if you've met the eligibility, I've been sending it out. If for whatever reason you feel that you've tested into those areas and you haven't received an application, definitely reach out to us and we'll get it to you. Or you already have the link that Dean Carrion just shared for you, so you can always just send in your application. I'll review your application and then let you know whether or not you qualify.
Awesome, thank you. A question came in asking about honors living learning community and how that differs from our learning communities. And I want to add on to that question, can students, if they're accepted into HLLC, are they able to also participate in one of our academic learning communities?
Yeah, without a doubt, you can definitely do both should you choose to. The major difference with the program is that with HLLC, it is more of a living and learning community where you're a cohort living together, taking courses together, and you actually have a minor or concentration that you're taking together versus these learning communities where they're very industry and career centered, and it's not necessarily a living learning aspect to the program, but you can apply for both.
Thank you. So someone asked, what if they apply and don't get into the learning community? What would you recommend they do from there?
Yeah, so if for whatever reason you're not accepted, it's not the end of the world. You can still obtain the same great information and advisement that we're giving the students during the learning community just by coming in and meeting with us and forming a relationship with either myself or any of the other advisors on the pre-professional services team. We host tons of workshops and seminars throughout the semester that are open to everybody. So you can obtain just as many opportunities and experiences being a student not in this program if you're not accepted.
Thank you. Someone else had asked, what if they're undecided in terms of their major right now? Is this still something that they can consider applying to?
And that's a really good question. You don't necessarily have to have an idea of what you want to major in because each of these industries that Dean Carrion had mentioned don't require a specific major. Even medical, wanting to become a doctor, you don't have to be bio or a science major. So if you're undecided, but you have an idea of what you may potentially want to do career-wise, this is a perfect opportunity for you because even through the class that I teach, we're going to be going over the many different possibilities of different degrees and what makes sense, what makes more sense for you as an individual.
Thank you. Someone did say similarly, if you want to, I guess, provide a recommendation, is that someone said they're not sure about what they want to study, but they're sort of torn between LPLC, applying for LPLC or applying for DTPLC. And what would you suggest for someone who is undecided but really wants to be a part of the learning community? They think that would help them in their academic journey here.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, they have an interest in the data analysis side and in the legal side.
Yes.
I would recommend that they go the LPLC route. Only because there are certain programs and certain things we can get you into that gear you towards the data science side of that particular program. But if you go specifically through the data science side, you might not necessarily gain the legal experience that you would through the LPLC. So I would probably recommend if you're stuck in between those two, go the law route and just let it be known from the very beginning that that's your interest. So that way we can try to build a custom plan specific to your needs.
Thank you. Someone asked, what's the first thing we're going to learn about in SASN classes? And it sounds like that's a more general question, but I feel like in terms of spinning it to the learning communities, what are some of the things that students would be learning in those courses that you teach for the learning communities?
That's a great, great question. One of the first things we start going over are major competencies that professional schools are looking in their applicants and employers are looking for in their future employees. So we're going to be going over cultural competency. We're going to be going over what it means to think logically, analytically. We're going to think about what it means to giving back to your community or how to even build upon your resume and what stands out the most in that resume. We're going to be talking about how to team build and network amongst yourselves, as well as key stakeholders within the Newark and Greater Newark area. Aside from many other things that are going to be geared towards elevating you as a future applicant.
Thank you. Let's see. It looks like we are getting some general questions that I'll just answer quickly since y'all are here and you have some FaceTime with us. So you'll know what classes you're taking at SOAR. You'll review your schedule at SOAR with an advisor. And then if you are selected to be a part of the learning communities, then Dean Flens would work with you to make sure you're in whatever classes are required for the learning communities. But for any like general student, you'll at SOAR be able to verify and confirm what your registration looks like for the fall. So that is the more general question I saw. Now I'm going to switch over to the Q&A box to
A
see if
lot of
anything
questions.
is there. And it looks like we definitely have questions there. So let's see. I see something about volunteer opportunities. But all it says is as well as many volunteer opportunities. So I'm not sure if someone wants us to expand upon what those volunteer opportunities are. Dean Flins, do you want to maybe just give some insight into what kind of volunteering the learning community students have done and which learning communities might have that as a component of their requirements?
Yeah, definitely. All three learning communities have a certain aspect in which they have to do what I would consider like a field experience. So for our health professions learning community, as a well, not sure if we're going to do it this particular year because of COVID, but we may bring it back the following year. But essentially, we would have students work in groups at a specific facility, gaining experience as early as their first year to be able to add to their resume. Same thing with the legal and the data side as well. What we've done to substitute for that is and empower students to network with individuals that are actually in the field for professional interviewing to gain firsthand insight of what it's like to be in that professional shoes. Aside from that, every week we're sending out newsletters with tons of opportunities that are presented to our office for our health and our law students. Since the DT PLC this is the first year we're doing it, I envision that we're going to be creating a newsletter very similar for that group as well, so that they're consistently having opportunities that they can apply for and add to their resume.
Thank you. Is there a GPA required for these programs? This person specifically asked about a GPA to get in, but because these are first year students, we don't have a GPA requirement to apply. But once you're in Dean Flens, do they need to maintain a certain GPA?
So there are certain perks of being a part of these learning communities, such as priority registration for all 4 years that you're here, among other things. So there are requirements to obtain these perks, and while you're in the program, you do have to maintain a minimum of a 3.0 GPA. There are a certain number of professional workshops that you have to attend per semester, in addition to community service hours as well. But to answer the question as far as the GPA, it's a minimum 3.0 to obtain all of the perks of the learning community.
So speaking of perks, that one of the next questions I saw was saying, what are the perks, right? So, no, there's not free housing associated with our learning communities, but there are certainly perks that I would say students really benefit from in the learning communities. Do you want to just go in a little bit more depth about what those perks are?
Yeah, definitely. So starting with one of the ones I had just mentioned, which is priority registration, which is huge for our students because essentially as early as your first year, when you start registering for that second semester, you guys are going to have dibs on courses before seniors and before everybody else on campus. So essentially it's almost impossible to get into the courses that you're interested in getting into as early as your first year. Some of the other perks are first dibs on the internships and scholarship information that we have available for our students in each of these areas. Typically, you all have the first insight on the newsletter that goes out before it goes out to our general public. In addition, it's the course that we actually teach, which is a phenomenal course because you're going to be meeting deans from some of the top programs within the tri-state area for health and law programs, in addition to meeting with top execs at Fortune 500 companies who are doing the work in the data and technology realm. So it's a lot of great perks with respect to those areas for this particular program.
Thank you. I see a question came through that said this student's interested in the medical field and healthcare, but they don't know which profession within the medical field they want. What are some of the things that HPLC might provide for them to help them figure out which of those pathways they do want to pursue?
That's a great question. What I will say is if I had to put a number to it, 90 to 95% of all the students who come to our college or any college who say they're interested in health want to become a doctor, specifically allopathic. They don't even know that there's other different kinds of doctors like osteopathic and naturopathic and all of that. But through our program, we introduce you to so many other fields and so many different areas through the coursework that we have through the program, in addition to the guest speakers who specialize in each of these individual areas. So you're going to have a wide range of different fields that you're going to be learning about through the Introduction to Health Professions course that may either A, solidify your intent of what exactly it is that you want to do that you said you want to do when you came, or B, may change your mind and reroute you to a different pre-professional, pre-health professional field that you never even knew was possible, where you can still have a great career, make a lot of money, but just in a different health field.
Thank you. I do want to reiterate to some folks in the audience that yes, this is specifically an opportunity for incoming first year students, but there are definitely pre-professional services opportunities that are provided on campus for students who may be coming in as a transfer, or even our current students who might have seen this on our Instagram and logged in and were like, oh, I want to hear more about it. Dean Flins, do you want to maybe highlight some of the other opportunities that are available to students through pre-professional services, even if they aren't either selected for learning community or maybe they're not an incoming first year student and are eligible to apply?
Yep. So specifically for students who are just like, you know what, I'm going to college, but I'm just going to need assistance down the road with what I want to do in the future. We help you with all professional school applications. So whether you're applying to medical school, dental school, law school, any of these other types of areas, we help you with that. We're definitely really big on assisting you with resume building, developing and improving upon your personal statement that you'll be writing, potential not cover letters. I'm sorry, I was trying to figure out the name of it. Cover letters and everything else that you're going to need for your application in itself. We have tons of professional programs that send us summer, winter opportunities, study abroad opportunities for those that are interested. We also assist with interviewing skills. So for those of you that are either A, going to be interviewing with a top employer, or B, which is what we mainly focus on, is the interview that you're going to be doing with these professional schools. We help you really hone in on certain areas of your strengths so that you really stand out as an applicant.
Thank you. Someone asked if HPLC would help students pursue research during their time in school here. And if so, are there types of research that HPLC students have done in the past that you recall that you would be able to tell us about?
There are tons of different research opportunities that our students have participated in. It's not a requirement of any of our learning communities, but it is highly recommended and encouraged for our students. It's not something that we focus on specifically because of how many opportunities are out there for our institution. So we are a tier one research institution, and there every department that we have on our campus is conducting some form of research. So we are always encouraging and recommending and showing you ways in which you can develop relationships with these faculty members to conduct research should you decide you want to stay more of the institutional research side. We also get other research opportunities through the medical school. I know our law school is going to be creating a program and so many others where you can directly apply. But there's not one specific for our learning communities.
Thank you. When can students, I know the application closes June 11th, but when would students then anticipate finding out if they've been selected?
So we hope to start sending out acceptance letters at the end of this month. It is on a rolling basis, so we are reviewing applications. Well, we will begin reviewing applications starting next week, and then it's going to be on a rolling basis up until June 11th time period. Should we need to expand, we will, but these seats fill up so quickly that that's why we strongly encourage you all to apply as soon as possible so that we can start reviewing your application.
Thank you. Is the Introduction to Health Professions course, and I guess this goes for the other intro classes, is that only taken during the first semester or does it continue on through future semesters?
Yep. So it is only taken within your first semester, and it's what I consider the foundational course or the foundational experience that you're going to need to really set the rest of your years up in a positive trajectory. The way we keep everybody together is after your first semester, we have what's called monthly meet and greets, at which point you're going to be having monthly meetings with myself and all of the cohorts combined for each of the learning communities. So if you're interested in the health field, you're going to have all 4 years of the cohorts of health professions students that are going to be together to A, hear all the opportunities that are coming up, all the things that we need to go over. It's a way to do peer-to-peer networking and find out what other opportunities are going on that somebody else might be participating in, and so much more. And we're going to be doing that for all three learning communities, and it's about 3 times a semester in which we meet to keep you all together.
Thank you. How many people are typically in a cohort? Now, I sort of know that there is not necessarily a typical, but I think they'd be curious to hear your answer about that one.
As far as how many students are in per cohort,
Yeah,
yeah, so traditionally it's about 30 to 40 for the health professions learning community. This year it will be 30. And for the other two learning communities for LPLC and DTPLC, it's going to be 20 each.
thank you. I see a couple of folks asking where they can find a copy of today's presentation. So I'm going to just put in the chat a tiny URL that will bring you to our accepted students page. And that is where there's a direct link to our YouTube. And our YouTube channel is whenever we record these kinds of events, once the recording is created by WebEx, then we can upload it on there. So that's where you'll find most information, and where you'll find future event information as the summer goes on. We'll definitely have some more events that y'all might be interested in to prepare for the fall semester. Now I see that it's about 5:40, and I think we'll probably get wrapped up in the next 5 minutes or so. So I do want to see if there are any questions that I haven't seen asked yet. There's a bunch of questions to mull through, and then I want to give Dean Felenz a couple minutes to share anything else that he might have to share. And if not, I'll reshare that screen with our email address and our Instagram so that you all can take another screenshot of that. If you have a question after today, or you feel your question wasn't answered, you know where to find us so that we can make sure that question is answered. Someone said, do they have to have college credit already in order to join one of the learning communities?
Nope, not at all. You just need to meet the eligibility standards, and that is it.
Awesome. One person said the link doesn't work. I'm not sure if they're referring to one of the learning community application links, but it would definitely be helpful to know which one you were trying to access so that we can troubleshoot that. So
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
don't mind messaging us again, letting us know if you were the one that said the link didn't work, let us know so we can see if that's a tiny URL problem or something on the back end for us of the application itself. And while you do that, whoever that was in the chat, while you share that with us, I'm going to reshare two things. I'm going to share the link to the applications again because we got a question about that, and then our contact information once more. So hopefully you can see my screen now. Let me go back a slide. So these are the links to the applications again. So if you didn't get them before, take a screenshot, write down the tiny URLs, give the QR code a try, and each link is slightly different for each of the learning communities. I see someone said the learning community links, but which one? Was it health professions, legal professions, or data and technology, so that we can try out whichever one you're having trouble with. So for those of you who didn't get a picture before, it looks like it was health professions, Dean Felenz. So for those of you who are trying HPLC, if it works for you, awesome. If not, we will definitely update that for you. And you could always email our office email that I'll share in a moment so that we can connect with you about that. Make sure you take a screenshot. And I'm about to go to, oh, it says LPLC is blocked by the video features. So if you're interested in any of them, the URL is tinyurl.com/ either HPLC, LPLC, or DTPLC, followed by the year 2021. So if you can't see the presentation, those are the links. And then the last thing, again, is our office information, how you can get in contact with us after today's session. If you have any more questions or you still have trouble with the link or something of that nature, you can always find us via email at sasn_advising@newark.rutgers.edu. And you can also follow us on Instagram at SASN_OAS. And you can always DM us there. And our front office staff also sees our DMs there and can always help you out if you want to hit us up there. Dean Felenz, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, sorry, definitely save this email. I did go in and just noticed that for some reason the link for the health professionals learning community wasn't working, and I think there was an issue with the tiny URL website itself, and I think that's why it's not working. I know for a fact that QR code does work, but if for whatever reason it's not working, I will send you the full address through in the email that we have right here. So just send us an email, and we'll make sure to get that out to you.
And so if TinyURL, if their server is down, you also might have trouble accessing the link I sent in the chat for our accepted students webpage. So if you go onto YouTube, our YouTube channel is OAS411. So you could also look us up straight on YouTube to see when the video is uploaded and rewatch from the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now. So bye to the folks on the recording. Thanks for tuning in.